Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Team Coaching Communities of Practices sessions. Today's session is on the dynamics of team coaching for a leader. On behalf of Agile People Ops, me, Mariana, your host, would like to thank you all for joining us today. This series of calls aims to provide a platform for team managers, leaders, coaches to come together, share their experiences, and learn from one another. The sessions take place every fourth Wednesday of the month. I would now like to introduce our esteemed team coaches for today's session. The first is Himani Jaiswal. She is a leadership coach, facilitative trainer, and keynote speaker with over 24 years of experience. She is dedicated to using applied neuroscience and emotional intelligence to help create thriving organizational cultures and individual success stories. She's a professional certified coach through the International Coach Federation, which represents the gold standard for professional coaching worldwide. She's certified in applied neuroscience coaching, and she uses this powerful methodology in her clients' coaching development journey to discover their noble goals. The second is Naveen KS. He's the co-founder of Agile People Ops, who contributed in creating Agile People Ops framework. He's also an organizer of the HR conference People Ops Pulse and author of the Scrum Master Journal. He works as a consultant and coach in US, helping organizations transform and adopt business agility. He also helps leaders and teams through his coaching and reflection skills to help them become better versions of themselves and make progress one day at a time. He loves coaching and he went on to learn everything about coaching way back in 2014, enrolling in one of the best coaching schools in USA and holds ICF coaching certifications for last 7 years, served as board member on one of the ICF chapter, and volunteered for hundreds of pro bono coaching, helping individuals become better versions of themselves and grow in life. A very warm welcome to our team coaches and to whoever has joined us as the audience. Over to you, Hemani and Naveen. The stage is all yours.
Thank you, Mariana, for this wonderful introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, from wherever you are joining for today's call. We typically do this on the fourth Wednesdays, noon New York time. Uh, some of the people who may be joining us know that we do this every month. And our format for last few months has been to give all of you folks about a team coaching one concept and one tool which you can right away use it in your organizations within your teams basically. um, just want to know where all people are joining in. Feel free to comment in the chat box where you are joining in. I would be more interested to know. um, so for the next 58 minutes or 55 minutes or so, we will go through today's concept of how to give feedback as a leader or as a manager, how to give the feedback to your team and also receive it. Basically, why receive it also I will explain in a bit. We'll do a quick poll once we talk about the feedback, and we'll do a quick debrief of whatever the poll results comes in. Then we'll march ahead into the introduction of the coin model. This model can be used for giving and receiving feedback. We'll talk about that. And I will little bit touch base on the Future of Workforce 2024 report, because there is a section for a team coaching point of view also there. So I'm just going to talk just to a couple of lines there. Then we're going to give back again to Himani to talk about team models, and then we'll close the session. It should last around 50 to 55 minutes, this journey. Um, so let's begin our today's session. Before that, Himani, you have anything to add here?
No, not at the moment. Thanks.
Thank you. So we all know feedback, right? Feedback typically, if you're all working, you might have experienced it more than once in your at your organization. It can be very formal feedback where your leaders and managers could be providing you. It could be very informal feedback during your meetings or water cooler discussions or setting up a separate time. But feedback is very key for teams. Actually, what happens is when the leaders provide a feedback, it acts as like a guiding, developing, and motivating kind of a thing for the team members. And for leaders, it is very important to provide the feedback because it maintains the high level of a performance, and it creates and helps to foster a positive organizational culture. Because as a team member, when you are performing, your leader needs to keep providing you consistent feedback. This was happening for more than a century now, and the feedback has been one way. But for last a decade or two, the feedback started working two ways now. The leaders also started asking for the feedback. Now it is very powerful tool for the leaders to even receive the feedback from their team members. In the manufacturing era, it was just your supervisor or your manager or your leader know everything, so he used to give only feedback. But we are in a knowledge era, and there are so much of unpredictability and so many things are there for the whenever whatever work you're working on a product or a service, that your leader also he or she needs to understand what's happening. So it's become a two-way feedback, and it's very important for the leaders. It's very important for the leaders because it's essential for their personal growth, and it's also essential for the leader, for he or she needs to think about where the team he or she can help to develop it, so that we all can as a team march to the organizational success. So leaders use this as a kind of a very effective tool, and then using this feedback itself, they can also reform or reshape their coaching or their performance management and all those things. And of course, for the personally also for the leaders, very, very important basically. So that's about the feedback, giving and receiving. Um, the one most important thing I like this word, the sentence, if you read it towards the end. See, as a leader, I can, like, let's assume for a second that we all are part of one team, and this call is 1 hour project where we are coming together and learning something and delivering our learnings basically, right? And let's assume for a second, if you guys don't mind, myself and Imani as a leader, and you all are part of our team members. So only if I and Himani provide you feedback, it becomes one way. But how did we learn together in next 50 minutes? That is our project. And then you, in the end, give us a feedback. So when we come back next time, it becomes more better and effective. So it has to be very two ways. But let's assume as a team member, we provide you feedback. But if we don't focus on how we are providing it, you may not really receive it and may not be really important for you to consider that as a feedback itself. So I can only give you feedback, but it cannot be as I wish to be. It has to be very controlled and very situational, contextual. So those are the details which Hemani will cover in the coin tool. Basically, it's very important for you all to go through and understand how do we do that. We can probably do a quick poll here, and we would like to understand like how you use feedback, not only in receiving the feedback, also in giving the feedback. Thanks, Mariana. Can you launch the poll actually?
Yes, I'll launch the first poll.
Okay, thank you. Uh,
And okay.
Excellent. Thank you, Mariana. So there are like two different polls, simple two question format polls. The first poll is assume you are a leader or a manager. So read the question like that and tell us how well do you give feedback to your team member. So we'll keep another 15 seconds, sorry. We'll keep another 15 seconds and then we'll move on to the next poll. Okay, Mariana, you can launch the next poll. Again, this next poll is also a simple two questions. Oh, okay. So, Mariana, maybe we want to have the poll results shared later. Can you ensure that we get the poll results later? Maybe I'll ask you to share the screen. Thank you. So this is the second poll. And this poll assumes that you are a leader and a manager, and you're receiving the feedback from your team member. Again, it's a two simple questions. We will give another 15 seconds for you all to answer it. Mariana, would it be possible for you to share the poll results? Both of the poll results one by one.
So you want me to end this poll right now? And then because I can
We'll
share
wait for
only
like,
after that.
yeah, correct. Yeah. Just end it in 5 seconds. We'll just give them all to do that. And then you can share the poll results.
Okay.
And Hemani, probably you can probably start looking at the poll results and take it over from here, if you're okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
So we can have the results, Mariana. I think we're good to go. All right. So when we talk about receiving feedback, we have a good result. And I hope you're all speaking the truth here and only the truth. So we do assume that and we do believe that. So, all right. So I actively listen to the feedback being given often. They're really good. And I learn from every piece of feedback, well, often. And, well, very good. We are very good receivers of feedback. And what about the other one, Mariana? Can we just quickly see that as well? What about giving it? Let's see. Aha. I offer specific detailed feedback about the individual's behavior. I do it sometimes. Okay. And I communicate the impact of the individual's action, the team, which is also sometimes. So what should we make out of this? It's actually quite clear. And we can close this. Thanks for sharing, Mariana. So one of my professors at one of our classes said that and I'm saying this on my behalf, I'm not saying it's entirely true for everybody, but he just gave this feedback to all of us, that he said, we think that we are far better communicators, or we are far better at receiving something than we actually are. So now today, it's kind of coming out here that when you said that you were giving something, you kind of said sometimes, okay, but when you receive something, you felt that you actually receive it pretty well. Now, I'm not debating that. It's up to you. Think about it. That where is the line that it actually, where are you actually in it? And maybe this model that we're just going to discuss will help you get more clarity into what is your style of giving feedback and receiving feedback. And then you can go back and maybe you can think of these questions, and we can send them to you also later, and maybe do it with your team, and kind of do a exercise around it and see where does everybody stand in that, because it's kind of our perceptions sometimes are different from what we actually are in a particular situation. So we just asked you to do this, to think about it, and no decision making out here, just a reflection exercise. All right, so we can move on to the next slide, which is where we will talk about this famous coin model. I love the name. And that's why, we thought that let's talk about it, because it is from this lady who's a very famous author, and she's a very good executive coach, Anna Carroll. And it's a very simple model. That's the beauty of it. So, and it's related to something that we like, which is money. So we won't even forget it. So so it's like easy that way in memory wise. So coin, yeah. So when we talk about, Naveen was just talking about how useful and how important it is for leaders and also everybody else to be giving and receiving feedback. But sometimes the very word feedback, when you think about it, the first word that comes into mind is, oh my God, especially when you're talking about receiving it. And I'm actually happily surprised that you all think that you receive it very well. And but yes, when you said that you wanted to give it, it does make you cringe a little, because we want to avoid having difficult conversations. That's a part of being human, because I mean, we all want that we are good people, we are liked by people, and why not? So there is a way that we can be liked by people. There is a way that we can be good leaders. There is a way that we can be efficient in our work, but have those difficult conversations, have those important conversations with an approach, which we will just learn about. And in this way, you'll be able to have conversations, which means that you'll be able to share with people how you feel about something, and also in turn be able to receive something from them, because no conversation is one way. Like as he just shared, that if we just keep on sharing and you're not replying anything, which is what is happening right now, by the way, because you've not written anything in the chat, but we hope that it will soon start coming. But the response of a conversation, the response of a communication is the success of it. So in the coin model, what really happens also is, by the end of it, you're actually able to gauge that, okay, what is the effect of my conversation? Because you're able to ask the person that, okay, what are you going to do about it? Let's quickly get into it, so that then you'll understand, where I'm coming from. We can go to the next slide. So this very fancy slide is just explaining very simply that the coin model, coin stands for C being context, then observation, impact, and next steps. Easy enough? So, which is, to break it down, I'll go to the next slide. Then I'll probably come back to this one. So Mariana, we can go to the next slide. Okay, so this is more clearly explained here. That's why we'll come here. Now, what is context? Meaning, what's exactly happening? Define the situation. Like, unless I know what is happening, how can I even give you feedback on it? Simple enough. Let's start from the example that is given here. This person says very specifically, during your presentation this morning, the context is set, the stage is set. I'm not talking about that you are this, or Mariana, I feel that you're disorganized, or whatever. Mariana is definitely not disorganized, but even if I just take the liberty of saying that, I would say that at today morning, Mariana, when you send me the slides, slide number 6 was missing. Supposing it wasn't missing, she's always very good, but just for the taking an example. So define the situation. So I'm saying during your presentation this morning, today morning. Now moving on to O, which is describe the behavior, because it is a situation and something is happening. I noticed. Now this is me noticing. I'm not saying again that you are this, that you were all over the place, or you were talking, or this is. I noticed. Now here, what am I doing? I'm giving you a chance that later maybe you can come back to me and say, no, actually I was not, maybe if I say I noticed you were like focused on the screen and you're not paying attention, I can actually come back and say, actually I was feeling quite unwell, or actually, something was bothering me. So I'm giving a chance, because I am putting it from my perspective that I am noticing this, and I'm not putting you in the dais by saying that you are always like this, or this is you. Because when you define a person, it's different than defining their behavior, and you take the onus on yourself that this is how you feel about it, right? So it's a very big difference when you say that you categorize a person, rather than saying that I know that you are always late, saying that today I noticed that you came in 5 minutes late. So That's a very big difference. The third part of it is the impact. Of course, I do want to create an impact. Otherwise, I'm not just giving feedback for the sake of it. So I want to clarify the impact, which means that again, I'm taking the responsibility on myself by saying it made me feel I didn't have a chance to ask questions or to get clarity on parts I didn't understand. Because you were focused there. And then what do I sum it up with? I mean, I don't want to just make an empty impact and leave it there because the person may not even know what to say or do. So I just make a nudging suggestion. Sometimes we do that, sometimes we don't. But yes, logically ending it here is mostly the right way to go, which is the next steps. If you're telling me what to all this, then also tell me what was I supposed to do. Facing your audience will allow you to um, will allow you to gauge when to elaborate and remind you to stop for questions. Okay, here's a question, and that's, I think, Monica. Yeah. Okay, would you, so no, Monica, this is not the best feedback model. I wouldn't say anything is best or something like that. SBI is a wonderful model and I have practiced it, I use it, and it's a very effective one also. Here's another one for your tool, and that's what we are suggesting. So, another opportunity, we might just discuss SBI also, or you may like to do that if we have the time sometime. So thank you for sharing. Thanks. All right, so this is COIN in its very, very broad context, and we could move on to the next slide, wherein I will just explain you with a small example, one example, and we will go through it so that it hardwires into you and you can start using it as soon as you go back to your workplaces. And let us know how you used it and what came out of it. As we said, let's identify the situation. We have to have a context. We can't give feedback to people in thin air. Suddenly meet them in the corridor and say, hey, I want to talk to you. I mean, these days I've been feeling that you are like, just talking too much, or just you're not talking at all. Like, hey, where are you coming from? You can't just catch me somewhere and start talking to me. So I'm helping the person know that, I do notice that one of my colleagues regularly interrupts others, which is starting to cause friction. Very often we find this in teams. Either some people are talking too much, some people are talking too less, therefore they're not giving the others a chance, and a lot happens. A lot of team animosity happens. You people would know it better than, we do. So what are we doing? As an example, we would specifically refer to what happened during the team meeting. I mean, and then also, even if I know that it's been happening during a lot of meetings, I will pick up one meeting as an example. I will say today morning or whenever that this is what happened in the team meeting the day before or today, whenever, rather than commenting on their general interactions that you are like this, or usually I see you all the time you're doing this. We know we have various common words that we all do. You must be like this as a person, or you're always talking, or whatever. Brenda, you want to say something? Okay. All right. So this is the, yeah. No problem. Okay. All right. So, so this is as far as the context goes. It is a specific example. We are making a point in case in point. So we can move on to O. Okay. Now that you've had the context ready, this is what happened. Now you say that, okay, what is the actions that the colleague took or he did not take? And again, as I mentioned, it's not on them personally. It's not a personal attack. It's on their behavior and not the person. One of the rules, if you want to become a good leader, is that never attack people. Talk about their behavior at that time, at a particular time. I mean, and if you do this, half of your feedback will be taken well. I give you this with a lot of assurance. But don't focus on people, focus on their behavior and give examples. I noticed that during our team meeting, you were so excited about the topic we discussed that you interrupted Mark and Julie several times. Again, the onus is on me. I noticed this, and he's also telling him in a way that, look, you were very excited, so you interrupted Mark and Julie. So it's not an accusation as such. It's a observation. So that's why we call it observation versus an accusation. The next, which is I. And then definitely help the person understand the impact that it had. You're not just saying it for the sake of saying it. Again, you say that, okay, and after that, what happened? The meeting got sidetracked. It would have been much better to wait until we had finished the discussion. Now, this is an example I've given. I've given a lot of words just to explain you. You may not need so many words, because in a typical conversation, you may just like to give a few words and, kind of explain the point. I'm trying to bring the point home, and that's why I'm choosing these words. Again, the point that to be noticed here is that it's very important to tell them that this behavior may not only affect me, that it's not me as a leader who's getting affected. It may affect the entire team. The team is getting sidetracked. The team may feel that, you're interrupting and nobody's pointing out. And it's better for the person to know, because it may also help the person in terms to improve their behavior. After all, you're the leader. You need to have the responsibility to help people become better team members and future leaders. So that's how it's important to share the impact. And the last but not the least is the next, which is the end. So now, again, sometimes we do this, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we leave the person in a coaching conversation to think and ask that, okay, what would you do differently next time? And if we have the time, we'd ask them to come back, say on the next day or sometime, and say, okay, we'll talk about it tomorrow. If you find the person is getting too overwhelmed or becoming embarrassed, because even in this way, it's possible that the person feels embarrassed or feels that, oh God, I did this, I'm so sorry, so you say, it's okay. We can have this conversation tomorrow. Think about what could have gone differently, and the person may come back the next day or whenever. But if the person is open and you're still having a cup of coffee, say, what I would have done, or what could have been done was that, we could have, you could give the people some time or whatever, The point is not important here. It's just that the example was, I just helped to understand an example. You'll have to come up with your own creative things to say. As leaders, we have to think on our feet. And it's not what you say sometimes, it's how you say it. So again, you're using the coin model, but you're not using it as, like as verbatim. There is no script here. I'm just using one example. There could be thousands of incidents. Every day is a work issue, something happens. So if you follow it with this flow and this style, then you are likely not to get lost. And if you don't get lost, you'll be confident. If you're confident, you'll be present. If you're present, you won't muddle up your words, and you will be empathetic towards the person. So you won't be worrying what I'm saying, how I'm sounding. Am I sounding kind? Am I sounding nice? You will have a model to follow. That was our idea to help you being as leaders. So how you say it is just as important. So we choose our language appropriately. I hope it was a very short explanation, but it was succinct enough to be able for you to go back and use it. If there are any clarifications, please ask in the chat. And of course, I'm here too, and we are here to, take care of those. Just two more things in this, in the next two slides, Mariana. Yeah. So these are just suggestions again, like the coin model, that when you the problems that we have is that when we have to make a strong statement, we come out, either we don't say anything at all, or we say it so aggressively, or we say it so in such a way that it sounds like a actual command coming from the military or something. So again, words like suggestion, words like I notice, putting it on yourself and then putting out something, so it's like these are these three styles which we can adopt. Something like in a strong statement, I would suggest a few changes. In a question, you could put it in a question that, may I suggest a few changes? I would suggest this in a suggestion. These three these suggesting statements can be said in these three ways, as a suggestion, as a question, as a strong statement, depending upon the mood, depending upon the quality of your interaction with your team. And also consider what you're most comfortable with. As a person, I'm not very, very comfortable with strong statements. So I use questioning a lot. As a coach, actually, that comes pretty naturally to me also. So I use that, would we like to do this? So people are comfortable with that because they have the autonomy to say no also if they want to. So it depends on what you're comfortable with. Choose, practice, keep practicing these so that you know finally what you're comfortable with. And there's another slide which is the next one, which is this very small but powerful but word. So, when we ruin everything by saying that, I think you did a good job, but if you could do this also, then it would be just this thing. Hang on, yeah, you can do it, like, even if you want to, and even if it's important, don't sandwich things. People talked about sandwich techniques so much, but my recommendation is use the sandwich with care. You have to be good at using a sandwich technique. People use it far too sparingly. I would avoid using it. If you're giving feedback, give it straight, use the coin model or other models, but don't sandwich your this thing. It just loses the impact. Okay. So, because it just makes people very defensive and they don't even value what you've said in the first part of it. So, if you're doing it and you have to do it at one point, then you break your part. It's like, firstly, what I have to say is that you did this. And secondly, I would like to say this, which are two separate points, keeping the positives of both and in a neutral way. Neither are you overpraising, neither are you over criticizing, but you're making two separate points. So you're not sandwiching anything in between. You're not sandwiching the meat between the burger and making it sound like I didn't criticize you at all. I didn't give you feedback. I just told you two good things, and in between that, I just put the meat. But the meat is what really one goes to eat the burger for mostly. So people will also notice the meat. So this was about the coin model and some things about what to take care of. People are noticing you. You lead by example when you are a leader or a team member or even anybody who's working in an organization. So just take care of these things. And because they're simple enough, you may just remember them and use them during the time. What about the word however? That's a very good question. And what do you feel? What do you feel about it? If you'd like to share, and if you could just unmute yourself, it'd be even better.
Isn't it similar to but?
I would believe so, yes. It is. It is pretty similar to but. It's a softer sounding word, but anybody who understands a language a little would understand your intent. So I would be careful using it. And what of though? What do you feel about though? So if you're using it in a sentence, you did a good job, though you could have done this differently. That's what we're meaning. So again, it's not that you can't use these or not do them at all. You'll have to look at the situation and see that are you breaking the impact of what you've just said? If you're really praising somebody, then don't do it. You'll get ample opportunity to give feedback. So, or do it in the way that we gave the example, that let's sit down, let's talk about it. Firstly, I would really like to, say that this point was really explained. And secondly, then you could talk about something. If at the same time it's important, if you feel that you won't get the opportunity, do it at the same time. Or better still, fix up a time and say we can talk about what went well, the other parts also, maybe tomorrow over lunch or whenever we get a time which is suitable. Because that way you're really reinforcing with the person that you're with them, you're on their side. And it's not something that you just want to get off your chest and tell them what you felt about it. Because then your authenticity is kind of in question at times. But when it's very important, you give it at that time because maybe you don't get time sometime. So use your discretion and be careful of some words because they cause psychologically we are very, very we are very touchy about them, and that's how even children sometimes grow up with these words, and therefore they begin to feel challenged about it. Yeah, and thank you for those questions. Those were very, very actually thought provoking for me also. So I will also think about it. Thank you.
Thanks, Himani. I would like to share a bit from a team coaching point of view.
Yeah.
The sandwich technique of providing the feedback may work effectively when you are doing a one-on-one coaching or when you're providing a one-on-one feedback. But when it comes to a team coaching, the sandwich technique does not work as effectively as it works in individual. the better word to replace a but is and. In and, what we can do is we can state all the positive things and then say and then start the sentence. I believe we had an opportunity to improve, right? There is a we there. There is no, you. You're saying we. That includes me also as part of the team. So you say, and I believe there was an opportunity to improve. Or you can say, and I think we could have done better this ABC, right? I think I'm still doing it, but I'm saying could have done better. So the word choices of the words are very important in the team context, basically. But and is the word which helps everyone's ears raised up because now we are going to talk about some kind of negativity thing where or a improvement area, right? That's one. The third most important thing is whenever you use and, it means that you are acknowledging the first piece that we did great, we did better, we did nice, but there is still some room, right? We are not 100% perfect as a humans. So they after the and, when you say, then you also start thinking of how do we receive that message whichever is coming. The but raises your negative outlook more, saying, okay, now he's going to talk something which may not be good. When you say and, it opens up your mind towards receiving it positively, basically. Okay, that has helped a lot. In my experience, I have seen a lot of great leaders using it. But feel free to practice it and remember in the team environment, the and after that, whatever you say has to be very, scenario driven, contextual driven in that moment, basically. Because you're not going to impact the mood and the sensitivity of one person. You're going to impact the mood and sensitivity of all the team members available there. Self-awareness is very key what you speak, the choice of the words. Just going to take a pause. Thanks. Okay, no questions. Himani, are you okay to move on to the next slide?
I'm okay, and yeah, I'm good. And I think this is the one of the key takeaways which we've already shared is what we were talking about: difficult conversations and feedback. And obviously, in a non-confrontational way, we talked about team coaching as well. So yeah, we're good to move ahead. I think you can go ahead. For me, it was the model as well as the implications of the model.
Cool. So we also have a tool, basically a set of questions what you can ask as part of your feedback, or both for receiving one set of questions and for providing. We will share that tool, that questions through email to all the participants. If you're interested, please tell us here, but we'll put it on the website also. And Mariana, you can go to the next slide. I would also like to take the opportunity and talk about this year's Agile People Ops research report on Future of Workforce 2024. Future of Workforce 2024 is a report, research report we started since last year to provide insights about what would the workplace, the work and the workforce would look like in the coming up year. This year's report contains a section about team dynamics. As we all know, and I think we already spoke a couple of months ago, that the teams are mostly now multi-generational. The team members are of not the same age group, right? There are like 4 to 5 generations working together as part of one single team. So this report captures the team dynamics related insights, and there are some good strategic guidelines also for CHROs and CPOs to use it when they are creating or constituting their teams, basically, in their organization. If you can go to the next slide, Mariana. I would encourage all of you to download it. It's pretty comprehensive report. It's around like 50 to 55 pages detailed report. For each of the different sections, the reports provides us how do we leverage the feedback for future ready workforces. So in different section of the reports, it provides the insights. You might want to, go through them in detail to understand. But these slides capture that all those pieces in different sections of the report, how and where to use it. We're just going to provide this as part of the slides here. And this will be also on our YouTube. Feel free to take a screenshot if you like it or listen to it later. But there are like 6 different sections where feedback will be used for when you're using or constituting a workforce. Thank you, Nathaniel, for providing the link over there. That's where you can request this detailed comprehensive report. Thank you, Mariana, over to you. And I'm open if there are any questions. Myself and Imani are open and to answer any questions you may have.
Yes, if there are any audience questions, feel free to ask them. You can put it in the chat box or unmute yourselves. Should we wait for the audience questions or do I move ahead?
No questions. I mean, we have a shy audience. Yeah, maybe if people you're feeling shy or do you have any technical challenges to unmute and ask the questions, it is okay. We have an option of asking the questions through the chat window. Feel free to ask. In the meantime, Mariana, you can probably go to the next slide or whatever you want to announce it, and then we will answer it if there are any questions there.
Okay. So right now I would like to take the opportunity to thank both Himani and Naveen for sharing their insights and becoming an effective team leader. And also I would like to thank you all from the audience for joining us today. We appreciate your time and participation, and we hope that you found today's session very informative and engaging. We'll all receive a feedback form link in the chat box. Kindly share your feedback. It is most valuable to us. So what do we have next? We have our next team coaching communities of practices session on April 24th. Join team coaches Himani and Naveen, where they shed light on today's dynamic business environment, cultivating a coaching culture crucial for organizational success, involving defining, overcoming hindrances, designing strategies, and employing conflict management tools. To register for this event, kindly scan the QR code below or join using the link shared in the chat box. Alternatively, you all can join our APO Global Community LinkedIn group to get further updates on upcoming events. Kindly scan the QR code or join using the link shared in the chat box. Additionally, we have a community platform which will help to collaborate and engage with other passionate individuals. You all can join using the link shared in the chat box. We will share the recording of this session with all the participants who have registered, and we will upload it to our Agile People Ops YouTube channel. Thank you all once again. Have a wonderful day ahead. With lots of gratitude, I, Mariana, your host, will be signing off for today.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day, nice evening. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks, Mariana. Thanks, Himani.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Thank you. Thank you, Monica, for your insights. Bye. Good night. Good day.